Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're going to do another comparison video between Generation 1 toy and a couple of modern versions of the toy. I want to take this moment here to give a quick shout out to YouTube subscriber Megan O'Neill, who suggested doing this video and who helped provide one version of this toy. We're of course taking a look at Shrapnel, or in his modern name, Shrapnel. Of course, over here on the left, this is the Generation 1 version of Shrapnel. It was released in 1985, would also be available in 1986. Then right here in the middle, we have the Generations version of Shrapnel. He was released in 2013, and he would only be available in 2013. And then, of course, he would get reissued again in 2018 as part of the Power of the Primes collection. Now, as you can see, they all take on the same basic shape, at least in the reference of their alternate mode, as they all have the nice long antenna, and there's a fair amount of purple on them. They also the newer ones also pay homage to the original one's yellow canopy that he had on his chest, by them each having their own yellow chests. Of course, this was due to, in fact, that the original toy was part of a Powered Mecha series released in Japan. That's why Shrapnel, Bombshell, and Kickback all had yellow canopies on their chests that could be opened. That was for a pilot figure to be inserted inside it. So, it's nice to see that the newer versions of the toy have carried that over. It pays a nice homage to where he's come from. Of course, even in the Transformer card game that just came out, they still pay homage to it, as here's Shrapnel's card. Shrapnel is a rare card, so best of luck to all of you out there wanting to get one. But as you can see, even here on this picture, it does have him with the yellow chest, again paying homage to the G1 version. And just for kicks, you can see the backside. Okay, that's enough of that. Get that out of here. Anyway, let's take a little bit of a closer look at the original Shrapnel. And as you can see, Shrapnel, rather, had a fair amount of chrome on him, especially on the antenna and on his legs. And, of course, his gun was also chromed up. As for articulation, well, he could move his arm all the way if it didn't have the gun and the antenna. Well, then again, even the antenna gets in the way, so no such luck on that. But he could also turn and twist at the hip. Let's do that twist. Twist. Let's have some fun at least. And, of course, he also did have a joint at his hip that allowed him to move his leg out at the hip like so. So he was pretty limited in his articulation back then. Now, both of these two are essentially the same toy all around, so we'll just use the Power of the Primes one here to demonstrate his level of articulation. He has the joint at the shoulder, so he can move the arm quite a considerable range, and there is a joint at the elbow, so he can bend his arm at the elbow. Plus, the elbow at the bicep does have a swivel, so he can swivel his arm around like so. Taking inspiration from G.I. Joe, he has swivel arm battle grip. His legs can move apart, about so far. The insect legs tend to get in the way, but he can also raise his legs up like so, and there is a joint at the knee, so he can bend at the knees. So all in all, he is a nice improvement over the original toy, and especially being at about the same size. Now, of course, both of these two toys were packaged on a card. Miss Megan was actually able to obtain the card for me for the Generations 1. And it pays a little more homage to the original. As you can see, his gun here is drawn up, at least to bear some resemblance to the Generation 1 gun. Let's bring him up a little closer. And by some stretch of the imagination, the guns are pretty similar. But of course, the Generations 1 has an extra bonus with his gun. But what may surprise many of you younger viewers out there is that the original one came in a box. Yeah, we were special back then in the days when we could get a small figure like that in a box. Or at least we felt we were special. As I was saying, let's take a closer look at their guns by removing them out so you can actually see their guns. And of course, the original's gun was described as a grenade launcher. Whereas this one, let's see, does it list anything here on the card about what the gun becomes? Nope, doesn't say anything about what the gun is, so you would assume it's probably the same. But as I said earlier, it has an added feature in the fact that it becomes a robot. According to the card backer, this is Reflector. Of course, those of you G1 fans remember that Reflector was the camera that we could mail away and get. But of course, they carry that on as well. If we hold him like this, well, actually, you fold the post down, and then hold him like this, and he's a camera. Somehow, though, I prefer the 35mm camera that the original Reflector became, especially now that I've just thrown him on the floor. Okay, rearm yourself. Now, of course, as you all notice, the newest one does not include a gun. So I'm going to give him one of the Prime Armor ones. Let's see how it mounts in his hand. It's a little bit big for him, but well, at least he's now got a gun. Looks rather silly with those garish colors, but it was one I could grab. I knew the post would be clear enough to use on the other mode. Alright, I'm going to flip all these guys into their insect mode, and let's take a look at how they look that way. Okay, folks, keep the grade cans back from the screen. Here they are in their insect mode. And quite a considerable difference, as the newer toys actually grafted insect legs for the toy, whereas the original, since it was intended to be a powered mecha, basically had these fake legs that had wheels on him so that he could roll around on the table. It's nice to see that the newer versions did give him some insect legs, so it helps add to the overall creepy appearance. Of course, the Generations one, since he came with a gun, he could mount the gun on the center of his back so that he had a weapon with him. The original one had no place to store his gun, so you had to keep it off to the side. Since the power of the Primes one is essentially the same as the Generations one, let's see. This one's got a pretty long shaft. Nope, he just popped the stick loose, so I'd say it's more of a fight than what it's worth to get him to have a weapon mounted in him. Now, there we go, we got it back in. Let's try again, a little less force. Nope, still not going to do it. He doesn't want to hold on to a gun in his insect mode. So, what a pity for him. Maybe for me as well. Oh well, what can you say? But overall, I do like the improvements that have been done to the character, or at least in the toy sense. He now, with the addition of insect legs, he does come off more as an Insecticon. Now, as long as they retain some of the other things that made the character such a wonderful character for us back in the day, like his hunger for electricity and the creepy way he repeats the last word he always says, then Hasbro will still pretty much have a winner on their hands. But that's my thoughts, viewers. What do you all think of Shrapnel or Scrapnel? Do you like the original G1 version, or do you like either of the modern versions? Me personally, if I've got to pick one of the modern versions, I like the Power of the Primes one the best. It doesn't include Reflector unnecessarily, and the color scheme more matches his Generation 1 appearance. But that's my thoughts. Share yours down in the comments section down below. This concludes my comparison review of Shrapnel. If you like the video, please leave a thumbs up for me here on YouTube. Don't forget as well, hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already joined our ranks, and make sure to ring the bell so you'll be notified every time new content is posted. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.